Hey guys, and welcome back to the shop. So since the last time we were in the shop, I've stripped off most of the paint and picked out most of the old seam seal and put in some Pour 15. I'll scuff that up, put in some seam seal, and I'm going to put epoxy primer over all of this. Still got a little bit of body work to do before I prime it, but yeah, got all of it out on the inside as well. So I went ahead and put the harness bar in. I think that's going to work out pretty well. But anyway, today I want to get started on putting this T150 back together. So come along with me and let's see if we can get this done. I've got all the parts in, and we should be ready to reassemble. All right, guys. So first up, I've got a new reverse first gear hub. So I'm gonna pull the inside out. Like that. Try to set this down without losing everything out of it. Okay. So first thing we're going to do is take this over to the press, and this will have to be pressed on down against this lip here. So let me go take care of that, and I'll be right back. Alright guys, so there that is. Next, I'm going to go ahead and put this outer gear sleeve back over this. I marked it to make sure that the orientation stays the way it was out of the box. This is a new part. There we go. Alright, so next up will be the snap ring, and it'll go on in a groove right down here at the base to hold this sleeve in. My rebuild kit has a new one in it, so I'm gonna use it instead. Alright, that's in there. Alright, so next up will be this blocking ring. And then first gear, which I'm going to be replacing first gear. So I'm going to lay that to the side. This is the new first gear. 18883.08. There's first gear. Let's see what's next. Alright, so next up is a slotted washer. And another snap ring. Alright, there's that. Alright, next up is second gear, and it's 18883.07. And then next up will be another blocking sleeve. Okay. Alright guys, the second, third synchronizer is the only one I couldn't source, but I was able to get these tabs. Let me see what those things are called. Synchronizer inserts. And these springs on both sides. I was able to source that, but not the synchronizer itself. So I've rebuilt it, and it'll go on next with these three. You see these? One side is grooved, the other side's not. Groove side goes out. So it'll go on just like that. Alright, and then last up, another snap ring goes here on the end. So let me get that wrestled on there. Okay, so let's see what the next step is. Alright guys, so off camera I've pressed on this front bearing and went ahead and put the pin bearings inside. I just used some petroleum jelly, real easy, went in real nice. This was the only surface that wasn't new, so I took some of this 600 grit sandpaper and sanded that down real smooth so that that'll grip real well. So this is ready to install. The main shaft and all of its gears are ready to install. So next we'll move over to the housing. We'll get the reverse idler and the counter shaft gears installed. So I've got the reverse idler shaft lubed up. What I'm going to do, and I've also lubed up the inside of the reverse idler. We're going to put this in with the straight gears towards the top, or what would be the rear of the transmission. But first I need to take these thrust washers and we'll put some petroleum jelly on it to help it adhere to the inside of the transmission. Right in here, see the slot there is where this tab will go, just like that. The other one will be up here. So yep, let me get a little lube on it. Alright. And let me see if I can get this gear in. All right. This has this What do they call that? Roll pin. And the transmission is slotted there, so that roll pin needs to be recessed down into the transmission right there. Just like that. Very good. All right, next we'll get set up and we'll get the countershaft gear in. All right, guys, so next let's get this countershaft gear prepped and into the housing. The first thing we'll do, we've got 25 needle bearings that have to go on each end, and then they'll have retaining washers that'll cap it off. So let's get these needle bearings installed. To do that, we're going to take some petroleum jelly, put inside the bore. And then we're just going to take the bearings, all right, I think that's got that. And I'll flip it end to end. We'll do the same thing on this end. Okay. So let me set this aside for a second. And what we'll do is pull the transmission back over. And then we've got two thrust washers that are going to go down in here, just like that, on each end. Like that. So let's put some petroleum jelly on these. It'll just help adhere it to the transmission to hold it in place. Right there. See that? And we'll do the same thing with this one. Just like that. Okay. And then we're going to take the countershaft gear and we're going to gently I'm just going to put that there far enough into the cavity there to hold that thrust washer while we try to insert this. Okay. There it is. Thrust washers are in place on both ends. So I'm going to leave this shaft there. But I'm going to put a piece of wire around this so when the time comes we'll be able to pick this up and drive that shaft in all the way. So next up, let's get this main assembly into the housing, and then we'll get that counter shaft gear installed. All right. All right, guys. So next up, let's get this rear bearing assembly installed. So I've already put the spacer on the main shaft. So we're just going to put this bearing on there. You can hear that definite ping once it's in there all the way. All right, next up will be the oil slinger. And then we'll put this seal on there after we get the front cap on. So like I was telling you earlier, this clutch shaft I've already put together. I've got the bearings, needle bearings already in it. I've got the new bearing installed. I am going to put a little lubricant on it though. All right. Yeah, much better. Just wanting to push the other end out when I try to drive this in. Only needs to go maybe 1/8 of an inch more. I don't want to beat on that bearing too much. Let me try putting the cap on. Maybe it'll put a little pressure against this. Let's just see what happens. Okay. I'll take this back off now. All right. So next up, there's a seal that goes here. right here. So let's get it installed. And then there's a gasket that goes here. Let me find it. Right there. Okay. Let me get the Alright, I'm going to put a little bit of petroleum jelly right there. Just to lube this up a little bit as it goes over that shaft. Now let's put the counter shaft back in. Alright, so I went ahead and put a little transmission lube over these gears and worked them. Everything seems to be working like it's supposed to. Next up, we got to put this seal on here. Oil slinger is there. And then we'll put this seal there. Let me put a little. I don't know that this is completely needed. But it never hurts. Next up is this gear that drives the transfer case. I'm going to put a little bit of lube right here. Just where it goes up against that seal there so it doesn't tear it. Okay. And then this washer goes on. And this nut gets torqued to 150 foot-pounds. So I'm gonna have to figure out a way to, it says to lock the gears, which I have them locked, but I still won't be able to hold this to torque it to 150, so. I'll have to get some sort of leverage to be able to do that. So let me just snug this up for now. So all that's left is to put the pin in the counter shaft. So let me get that installed. Okay, there's that. The only thing I'll tell you there is that hole has to be perfectly aligned or that pin will not go in. I had to pull it back out, turn it, keep nudging it, drive it back in before I ever got that pin to go in. So I'm going to put a little sealant on the threads of this. Just a little bit, not a whole lot. Alright, last thing right here is to reinsert this plug right there. Next we'll get set up and we'll get the shifter put back together and we'll be able to call the transmission done. Alright guys, so let's get this shifter put back together. We'll start with the first reverse shift rail. Alright, so I'm going to insert it partially and then push the shift fork on over it, and then here I'm going to add a little bit of transmission lube. Alright, then we're going to put a spring. And a detent ball. Well, that makes it so much easier. So next we will put this pin in. Maybe. All right, there's one. Let's see if we can continue on. All right, we're gonna get this peel in there. So let's make it as slick as we can. So it's not easy. All right, looking up. All right, and that peel rests right in this area, and it keeps you from being able to put those in the wrong position. All right, next up. I'm gonna lube this guy a little bit. Okay. That spring is already in there. So there's that. Okay. Well, I'd say that makes that a lot easier. All right. This guy's going to go right there. Let's see if we can drive this guy home. All right, there's that. Now, let's turn this over. first on that side. So this will go here. And this will go here. I had lost one of these, so I just took some 1/4 inch round stock and made another. So we'll see how well that works. All right, there's that. So let's get the transmission back over here and we'll get that bolted up. These get torqued to 22 foot-pounds. And that's tight. That is tight. There's another huge project completed. So I am very happy to have that back together. So I don't know if off camera I'll get the transfer case bolted up to it, or if I'll just wait until I get it back in the frame, because I still got to torque that nut there, or find a way to get some leverage so I can torque it with it on the bench. I'll figure that out. But yeah, if I get it torqued on the bench, I may go ahead and put the transfer case on it. If I can't, then I'll wait to get it in the frame to torque that. But anyway, next time should be pretty exciting, because we'll be able to start tying the transmission, transfer case, and engine back together and put it in the frame. So I hope you'll join me. Thanks for coming by the shop. God bless you, and we'll see you next time.